Hey people, hope you guys doing great. In today's video we will see, what if Naruto was the Incubus and built his large harem with monster girls? Part 2. Huge shout out to kyosuke-date-the soultaker for this story. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe and like the video. So let's start the story. Arguments everywhere. Not really though, it was only between Maya and Centaur, and they were only arguing because Maya was being possessive. Cute, but he didn't really need that kind of headache after the other night. He had felt something off in the distance, something familiar, and for some reason it made him shiver. He feared. Shaking his head, Naruto stretched a bit as he left the arguing pair and decided to watch Poppy read the rule book. It was always funny to watch a Harpy try to read and memorize things. Not to be mean or anything, but it was by far more adorable than a jealously possessive Lamia. Not that he'd tell anyone that. Poppy, maybe you should take a break, you've got smoke pouring out of your ears there. The interspecies lawbook is so hard. Yoa, husband, let's go swimming. What's with that all of a sudden? Did your head heat up so much you thought of the water? Yup. Laughing softly, he gave a small nod and rubbed the Harpy's heated up head, getting a happy chirp from her. Looking back to where Maya and Centaur were getting a bit more physical, the former wrapping around the latter while both continued to argue, Naruto shook his head and led Poppy off by the shoulder. Come on, let's get you cooled down, then I'll come back when these two hotheads cool down. If they haven't by the time we finished, well, I can probably cool them down in a literal sense. Entering the bathing room, Naruto started the cold water, Poppy simply enjoying the time around him, though when he looked to her, she had already begun shucking her clothes. Not a bad sight, not at all, but if Maya and Centaur ran in on them both naked, it might get a bit out of hand, as it were. Poppy, come here, I got something for you to wear. Miss Smith gave it to me, and though I don't know why she gave me a school-issue one, she was certainly right that the size was right. It'll fit you both literally and figuratively. If Poppy knew she was being called small, she didn't say anything about it. There was relatively little trouble getting the squirming Harpy into the one-piece swimsuit, which had her name on the front. Of course, the reason for her squirming was part of getting the thing on. Naruto's hands shamelessly felt the girl up as he slipped the swimsuit onto her, and though she liked it, she couldn't help but squirm. Apparently Poppy was ticklish. Storing that information away for future teasing, the blonde slipped the girl's arms through the holes in the swimsuit, though when his hands fell over her, she blushed darkly, looking back at him. Husband! Lemon skipped. Laughing softly, Naruto used some Herculean willpower to make himself go soft, before pulling out some swimming trunks, regular ones, not his special ones, and hopping in with the Harpy girl. She seemed quite appreciative of his joining her, too. Of course, she did seem a bit cuddly after he got in. She pushed him onto his back and then placed her back to his chest as she got on him. It was cute, and he had no problem floating about with her, especially not after what they'd done together. He really needed to spend some time with his other two guests, Maya first, because she was there first, and he technically knew her the longest. He couldn't be blamed if him and Poppy just clicked though. He was a flyer, she was a flyer, the sky to him meant freedom, and Harpies kind of embodied that. Hey Poppy, do you got any family back home? Ah yes. Poppy has mama and I can't remember. Sweat dropping, Naruto chuckled and rubbed the girl's belly playfully, tickling her a bit, making the girl wiggle atop of him. That's not nice, forgetting someone. Well, it's not like I can blame you. So, is your mom a nice Harpy? Yes. Mom is really nice. Except when she's not, 'cause then she's so mean. Naruto laughed softly and gave the Harpy girl a squeeze. Don't worry about it then. Instead, answer this. Have you had any fun since you got here? Yes. Poppy's had lots of fun. You always play with me, even if you always win at those video games. I'm getting closer, I know it. Someday I'll beat you. Yup, you're getting there. But for now there is no one that is a match for the great Uzumaki Naruto. Before any more boasts could be made, the door was busted down, Centaur entering the bathing room with a bow, of all things. He should check how good she was with that thing sometime. Sighing, the blonde got up and left Poppy to her bath, grabbing Centaur, and Maya when she tried to follow the Centaur into the bathing room. He enjoyed their company, but really, he didn't want them fighting when peace was so much better. Sure, a fight every now and then was good, but these two got on like oil and water. Syria, fill out your paperwork. Maya, calm down or I'm locking you out of my room. Don't think I can't. Now, come along, we herk. Naruto was cut off as Centauria grabbed him by his tail and, putting him on her back, a surprise if ever he was susceptible to one, and dashing out of the door. Almost instinctively he put his arms around her waist, holding on as she galloped off, leaving a trampled Maya and Poppy looking out of the bathing room curiously. He would have to talk to Centauria and Maya about how violent they got with each other. He could have sworn he saw Maya drawing a parting message on the floor with what he hoped wasn't her own blood after she was trampled. Syria took walking all over someone to literally right there. Master, art thou all right? HM? I'm fine, why wouldn't I be? Centauria blushed as her master assured her of his health, though that wasn't the only reason for her blush. The one upon her back may have been as calm as the eye of a tornado, but his hands surely weren't. Th then. Could thou please remove thine hands? Blinking, Naruto laughed softly and, pouting since Centauria couldn't see it, removed his hands from her chest. When she'd grabbed him so suddenly he'd been a bit surprised, but he'd gotten over it soon, merely using the opportunity to hold on to the Centaur girl, purely so he wouldn't fall off, you see. He did this by hugging her from behind and sinking his palms into her wrists over her shirt. They squished quite nicely, if he did say so himself, definitely a feeling he'd want to feel again. I feel as if thou did that on purpose, master. HM. Nope. Anyway, 'tis not a big problem, since thou art my master. I serve you, after all. Naruto's silence stretched on a bit. He of course knew better than to contradict a centaur on the matter of who they served. There were a few like that in his home, though they were all influenced by Tetsu no Kuni's samurai, rather than knights, if he had to hazard a guess as to what was influencing the centaur girl before him. Well, I'll be sure to take good care of you, but you shouldn't worry. I'll never do anything you won't find yourself liking. On the chance that I ever do, all you need to do is tell me. Whatever it was will cease then and there. Understand, Syria? Blushing again, the centaur nodded her head, truly unable to express how happy she was to have gotten such a kind master, even if he was somewhat of a lecher. Still, we are kinda in Japan right now. Why don't you relax a bit? You're part of the interspecies exchange program. Perhaps there's something you want to try now that you're here? Culture is important, but you're here now, you know? Something I wish to try. Looking around a bit, Centauria wondered if there was indeed something she wanted to try. It wasn't something she was entirely used to, if she were honest. Spotting a couple holding hands, the act seemed to catch her attention, and her cheeks heated once more in a blush. Ears drooping a bit, Naruto almost had a heart murmur at the cuteness the centaur managed to unwittingly display for him. All over a simple request. I guess. Perhaps. I want to try holding hands. Maybe. HM? Never done it before, huh? No, the only thing I have held in my hands are weapons, swords, bows, the like. Hey, WL. I guess was truly a foolish thing to say, wouldst thou not agree, master? The servant should not blurt out such unsightly things, right? Teat was no deep meaning behind my words, truly, so let's just priya. Before the girl could continue she found her hand being taken by Naruto, his firm grip seeming gentle as he took her hand into his own. As a large species, she had not expected it, but his hand seemed to engulf her own, spreading a warmth through her that she had only felt before when her mother would praise her, in her own way. Naruto hadn't expected the girl to clam up after he'd taken her hand, making him raise an eyebrow as she seemed to move away almost unconsciously. He couldn't see her face, but from what he could feel through their connected hands, she was most certainly flustered. Syria, is something the matter? This is what you wanted, right? He could never be accused of being dense, but there was a first time for everything, right? Maybe? Please don't look, master. I know not what type of face I am making. Chuckling softly, Naruto shook his head in reaching for the centaur girl. Syria-chan, don't worry, it's nothing bad, In fact, I'm sure your face will be quite cute right now. Let me see. Tail swishing about behind him, Naruto moved to Centauria's front, attempting to look at the no doubt adorable face she was making over something as simple as holding hands. He managed to catch a glimpse of it before the girl grabbed him and stuffed his face against her chest. I told you not to look! Naruto mentally laughed at the girl's overreaction, Tail still swishing about happily behind him. This could probably not get any better, and due to his position with his head in marshmallow heaven, he couldn't exactly tell if it could go bad. Couldn't hear or smell with his face smothered. Centauria could tell, though, for no sooner had she stuffed her master's face against her chest in her embarrassment, had something crashed behind her. Looking, she spotted Maya rubbing her head as she picked herself up off the ground, apparently Poppy, who flew down next to the complaining Lamia, had flown them around till they had found her and her master. Poppy's training was showing results at least. Muffled yelling was heard, before suddenly there was light, and he was freed from his soft, warm, fleshy face prison. Idly, Naruto mentally laughed at how much like ping-pong his situation was, going between Maya's freests, then back to Centauria's, then finally to Poppy's. Maybe it wasn't ping-pong he was thinking of, but he didn't really care to think about it as he gave the chest of each girl a little nuzzle of sorts, even Poppy's, for while her chest wasn't the softest or warmest, it was surprisingly the cuddliest. Still, when the sound of a gun being cocked from a small ways away reached him, he figured it was time to stop all the nonsense. Chamu Ugi, Shifuku no Haiwa. Like a colossal blast, an invisible wave of energy exploded from Naruto on all sides in a dome. The technique quickly expanded, covering the entire park, and several blocks around it, with Naruto at the epicenter. Every female in the area of Naruto's technique felt an undeniable, unexplainable feeling of sudden peacefulness and bliss. Being at the center of it, Maya, Poppy, Centauria and Ms. Smith felt it the most. All four fell to their knees or equivalent with looks of utter bliss on their faces. They felt as if nothing could go wrong, and everything was right with the world. It was only compounded by a smoldering heat in their loins. Now, you three are going to stop fighting, do you understand? No more striking each other, less hurtful words. I don't want this friction between you three to turn to hate. Understand? Turning immediately to Ms. Smith, he smirked as he saw the woman's eyes locked on his, wide as she realized what, or more specifically who the source of what she was feeling was. Don't worry, it'll wear off in a bit, though I do hope you have something to say to those three. I'm afraid I wouldn't know how to admonish them. They aren't my children, and with the exception of one of them, I've not laid with them yet. I'd like whatever friction they have with each other to be worked out before I do anything with them again, Kay? Those three. I'd like to say they're my family here, and families shouldn't fight so often. Ms. Smith could only nod slowly as the feeling of peace and bliss began to make her a bit lightheaded, making her feel as if she were forgetting something. Oh well, she'd remember it soon enough. Naruto sighed as he walked towards one of the arcades he frequented, aiming to play the aerial dog fight simulation game he loved so much. Something had been bugging him since he'd had Ms. Smith take his guests home. Something was off about her scent, though he couldn't quite figure out what that something was. Letting it drift from his mind, he gave a smile as he arrived at the arcade to find several people already at the machine he intended to use. Strangely enough, it didn't seem like any were using it, simply staring into it in something like awe. He thought they'd gotten over there not long after he set all the scores. Making his way through the small crowd, they all seemed to be looking at him with mixes of determination, awe, shock, and wait, was that pity? Raising an eyebrow, Naruto looked past the people around the game, into the machine to see what everyone was so enamored with. I think he broke. Naruto-sama? Uzumaki-kun? There, staring him in the face was something Naruto thought he would never see from the people who frequented the arcades he did. He thought only people with actual experience in flying and fighting at the same time would be able to do what he was looking at. Surely someone couldn't have hired some kind of Air Force pilot to come just to mess with him, right? Because staring him right in the freaking face, instead of his initials sitting proudly next to his stupid high scores, from third place down were the initials UK, taking up all his scores from third place and down. That was dangerously high to beating his highest scores. it caused a cold sweat to begin forming all over him. Around him, the crowd was growing somewhat worried for their local sky fighter champion. None in this city could beat his scores. That said, the one they'd seen actually do it seemed incredibly young, the opposite of their champion. Muzumaki-kun, the person who did this, they left a letter for you, though we couldn't make any sense of it. Naruto's head snapped to the girl who spoke so fast the crowd was surprised he didn't get whiplash. Holding his hand out, the blonde had a neatly folded piece of paper swiftly placed in his palm, whereupon he unfolded it and scrutinized it with glowing eyes. The letter read as such: the storm departs, the crimson cries, the snake bites the crimson child. Those who endure seek the storm. The fan that spews flames helps the crimson child find the storm. Beware the angry snake's messengers, and the weeping cinnamon bun's kin. Rejoice, the desert's princess occupies the desert's queen. But again be wary as the desert winds rage, and the black ants prepare for battle. Finally, the great tree keeps faith that the storm that nourishes it will return, though the crimson child may not be the only one sent to ensure it. In closing, expect the unexpected, pray that ye may be saved, and be prepared to receive that which the storm kept, that which the storm and the fan defeated. The converted bunny must once more reside with the storm, as the fan that spews flames refuses. P.S. It's not creepy. You'll figure that out soon. P.P.S. They speak softly, but one carries a big stick. Summon the fucking toads. Sweat dropping and gulping as a sense of dread fell over him, more so because honestly he had completely forgot that he could have summoned the toads to tell them where he was. He had wanted to when he first got to this world, but had figured it wouldn't work. Now that one of his daughters had followed him though, he was scared. If he were honest, he had put off even trying to summon something on the assumption that it wouldn't work due to distance. But if Kureha, he was pretty sure it was her. I mean, really. Crimson Child Kurina's name meant Crimson had followed him here somehow bringing her with her, then it wasn't at all impossible that summoning would work. He had practically ignored the toads for months, and made everyone think he had just disappeared. Fuck! His chakra flared, and in that instance, the cockpit of his favorite game wavered, before the crowd blinked a bit. Gasp! Naruto's head snapped to the game, his eyes widening at what he saw. Several blocks away, waiting patiently, the shadowed figure of a little girl smirked, showing off her pearly whites as she heard what she'd been waiting for. Nuh! Naruto slumped onto the couch before the left side of the coffee table in his living room, looking as if he were going to be sick, but also strangely happy at the same time. It was shocking somewhat to the 3 extra species girls living with him. So, darling-kun, something happened today after I'd brought these 3 here? You seem kind of down. All my scores, in every arcade. She's definitely mine. I feel happy, yet at the same time, I feel an indescribable sorrow. Oh come on, it can't be that bad, it's just a game, right? Just a game. Just a game? Those scores were my pride as the Sora no Godatsusha. The usurper. Usurped? Naruto covered his face with one of his wings and sobbed dramatically as Ms. Smith pulled out her cell phone, making a call as she walked away, lips curved up in a small smirk. Poppy was curious though, why was her husband called by such a title? Husband? Uf. Why are you called that? What, Sora no Godatsusha? That. I too wish to know. 'Tis curious how Master came upon such a name, is it not? Yeah, tell us, darling. Ha! Well, you see these wings? They aren't just for show. Back where I come from, no one else can fly through the air with the ease that I can. So I got that title from the people back home. Not even those that could technically fly could do it better than me. Ah, husband, you're so cool! Poppy gushed, and even when she jumped at him, Naruto was quick to notice that while Maya and Centauria glowered at her, they didn't try to physically remove the Harpy from him. Progress. Wah, Poppy, you know just how to cheer me up. Hugging the girl, Poppy squawked and blushed as she was crushed against her husband's chest, though she was quick to snuggle up to him after a moment. Her wings wrapped around his head, hugging it to her chest, off to the side a bit, Maya and Centauria were practically growling at the Harpy for her actions, though if they were honest with themselves, at least half of the blame laid with their darling/master. "Oh, darling-kun, there's someone here who wants to see you." "Huh? Ms. Smith, unless the culprit who beat my score is actually some unknown guy, and you managed to get him here so I could do horrible things to him, I doubt I'm in much of a mood to meet whoever you brought me." At this point, that feeling he'd had earlier came back. With a vengeance. Naruto's face turned pensive as he tried to find out what he was missing, Poppy squirming out of his grip as he unconsciously squeezed her too tight for comfort. Once she was free, she went to stand with Maya and Centauria, both of whom glared at her, but nothing else. "Daddy! Daddy!" One happy cry followed by a trio of surprised and shocked cries rang out, before Naruto found himself breathless. Oof! The breath was knocked out of him, and his couch was tipped over as a small form crashed into the blonde. Above the knocked-over couch, a tail that was very similar to Naruto's waved and swished about excitedly, its owner quite obviously the one who had knocked over the couch. "Kureha-chan!" Naruto's arms were seen for less than a second before the sound of a squeak was heard, followed by giggling mixed with crying. "Darling! What's the meaning of this?" "Yes, master, as surely whomever that is cannot truly be the fruits of thy loins." "Husband, you cheated?" "Darling! Master? Husband! Daddy, how could you? Do you realize what's going to happen when they find out about this?" "Master, pray tell, what does this young girl speak of?" Well, it goes like this, see? I'm not from Japan originally. Where I came from is somewhere different. When I lived there, I have a family already, wives and kids, brother and sister-in-laws. Well, when I came here, I had figured I'd never be able to go back there, or see them again at the least. Wah! Kureha-chan, Papa's sorry! Breaking down at the end, Naruto buried his face against his daughter's chest, getting a giggle from the girl as she hugged her dad's head, petting him soothingly like some of her ka-chans did whenever her daddy got like this. There, Daddy didn't know he couldn't go home, right? Obviously the toads didn't know you were here. Did the summoning not work when you tried it? Is that why you didn't come back? Daddy. Well, you see, when I got here, literally nothing was familiar. I knew right away that I wasn't anywhere near home anymore, so I kinda didn't have to summon the toads. I'm sorry, could you run that by me again? It sounded a lot like Auntie Enko upped my training because my Otutan was too much of an idiot to attempt summoning. You didn't even try? I mean, I had a thought, because they hadn't heard from you either, but... You'll work. With a cry of outrage, Naruto was sent flying, landing on the couch opposite of the one that was currently tipped over, knocking that one over as well, Miss Smith lurching back to avoid getting hit by it. Darling/master/husband! You cur! Prepare thyself, thou hath attacked my master, thou shalt pay! Wait, Syria, stop! Centauria did stop, though she glared at Kureha, who looked like she was about to start hyperventilating. Daddy, you're dead, you realize this, right? Ma and Pa will beat you to death. Ma and Pa? I thought you said husband was your daddy? Huh! He is. Ma and Pa are practically family friends. They also taught Daddy at one point, and when they find out he didn't even try to contact them, they're gonna be really mad. Smith-tan, do you think it's possible to get me on the other side of the city when Otobaka contacts them? Except for Naruto, everyone else sweat dropped, though Centauria seemed to be working herself up to arms over the girl's words. He couldn't have that, now could he? Kureha-chan, calm down, I'm fairly certain they won't kill me. Centauria, you can't attack my old teachers, and Maya, they have antidotes to anything you could make, or call your home for. Poppy! Good girl. Poppy smiled happily at the blonde's praise. Maya and Centauria glowered at her again. Master, I entreat thee, allow me to take up arms when you summon this Ma and Pa. At the very least, allow thy servant to be at thy side for the event. Yeah, darling, I want to be there too. Oh! Can Poppy meet them? Naruto sighed as Kureha took to hugging Ms. Smith and dramatically sobbing into her stomach. That wasn't all the girl was doing, But he wasn't going to tell Miss Smith that. It wasn't like she was his daughter could do as she pleased. Look! Nothing is going to happen, all right? Besides, I'll be in the resort when I call them to make it a bit easier. Maya, Centauria, don't you think my maids are acceptable to have around me? Both girls paled a bit at the mention of the maids. Ever since they had started Naruto's training, they had gained a healthy fear of maids. Why yes, that is. Are you sure that thy maids will protect you? Oh, I'm quite sure. They are my maids after all. Then, darling, just promise to be safe. Your, child, has made Ma and Pa sound like some kind of violent people. Be safe, please? Naruto waved the girl off, though he made a note to spend some quality time with her soon. She did have some time with him coming to her. Not that she had to earn it, but he'd spent more time with Poppy and Centauria lately than with her, and he wanted to even the scores, as it were. Well, I'm gonna go call them. Kureha-chan! Fix that couch you knocked over while I'm talking to Ma and Pa, and don't mess with my guests, got it? Except Ms. Smith, that's what she's here for. The woman, who had been drinking some coffee she had gotten from the kitchen, promptly spit it out at the blonde man's words. An epic spit take if ever there was one. Naruto looked up at the artificial sky in his resort, contemplating his future, and if he would have one in a few minutes. Kureha hadn't been fully wrong. Ma and Pa would very well beat him for his stupidity, and he would take it because he agreed. It had been quite stupid of him to not even try to summon the toads when he had arrived in this strange world. Sighing and rubbing his left horn to soothe himself, Naruto brought his unoccupied hand up and bit into his thumb. Several hand seals later, and he slammed his palm down. Kuchios no Jutsu! In a fairly sized puff of smoke, Naruto watched with bated breath and sweat building on his forehead at the spot he had used to summon. On the white sandy beach of his resort, Naruto watched as the smoke slowly dissipated, revealing Shima and Fukasaku, both looking at him with surprise, which swiftly turned to anger. Naruto-chan! Do you have any idea how long it's been? You idiot, your wives cried for a month! Your daughters who are old enough only compounded the problem, and your friends all want a piece of your hide. Grimacing at that, Naruto went to his knees and sat his perky butt on his legs to put himself a bit more level with the two-toed sages. Pa, I have no excuses. Humph. Unlike Pa, I'm a little more worried about how you're feeling right now, Naruto-chan. There must have been a reason you didn't try to summon us sooner. I'm so angry at you right now, I could spit oil. But I'm more than willing to listen to your side of the story, my boy. Sighing softly, Naruto collected his thoughts. I entered sage mode when I got here. It took a bit longer, but once I went into it, nothing was familiar, no one was anyone I knew, and while here is somewhat similar to home, it's also nothing like it. I kind of figured I wouldn't be able to summon you guys, let alone any other toad, so I just didn't think to try. Don't get so down now, Naruto-chan. Despite what Ma said, I care too, you know. All your friends and family care about you still, so what if it's been months since you've seen them? You were always in our hearts, Naruto-chan. No one thought you had dead, and though we didn't know where you were, we were all confident you were alive, and we could reach you again. Heh, thanks guys. Whack. That doesn't mean we aren't still mad at you. What the heck happened? I don't exactly know what happened, Pa. I was exploring Uzushio, maybe thinking of annexing it as part of Hai no Kuni by right of being the head of the Uzumaki clan, and then bam! Something happened and I couldn't get out in time. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in a strange hospital in a strange place. I don't even remember the nurse I freaked out with sage mode. I think she was hot? But that's not the point. I was distraught for about a month myself after I got here. Probably didn't show it in the best of ways, but I grieved too, Databeo. He didn't even care that his verbal tic had returned. He was just glad his summoning had worked, and Sasuke sending his daughter here to this place hadn't been some one-way fluke. Hopefully, anyway. Now assured that Pa wouldn't whack him with his sage stick of pain again, Naruto got up again and dusted himself off. Pa, I need you to take something to Kakashi for me. From now on, I'm treating this as a mission. I'll be writing up a report and I'll have it to you shortly. Would you two mind staying for a while? The resort can sustain your presence for your stay. Sure thing, Naruto-chan, we'll stay for a bit. Might be a little disorienting going back, but it's nothing we can't handle. Naruto gave the two toads a thumbs up, before dashing away to write up a report of his time in Japan, one of his maids moving past him to tend to the toad sages. Well, they went back and I'm not dead, so you can stop worrying about me, Kureha-chan. By that he meant subtly feeling him up. He swore his daughter wanted him sometimes or something. Ever since he had exited his resort, Kureha had been fretting over him worse than Centauria. She checked him for injuries no less than 5 times, and from the looks of it she was clearly getting on Centauria and Maya's nerves. I'm just worried, Daddy. You know how those two can get. Well, yeah, but that's no reason to think that I would die, of all people. Grumbling and walking away from his daughter, the blonde ignored her piercing gaze and went to his kitchen to begin making dinner. It was getting late, in any case, so dinner would help calming his guests and his daughter, the former of which were still trying to puzzle how the girl was his. Centauria and Maya were anyway. Poppy had just accepted it after a small bit before trying to rope Kureha into playing games with her. While the blonde Incubus was busy, Centauria and Maya were practically interrogating Kureha, who was sitting at the table with them as if she belonged there. She did, but they still seemed to be having trouble wrapping their heads around her presence. So, Kureha, how old are you? I'm 8 years old, and my name is Uzumaki Yuhi Kureha, daughter of the devilishly handsome Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto and the almost illusionary vision of loveliness Uzumaki Yuhi Kurinai. Well, thou certainly share features with my master. I take it you get your looks from your mother then? See, could you tell me about your mother? Mama? She's Uzumaki Yuhi Kurinai, and she's a jonin of Konoha. You Uzumaki? Jonin? D don't tell me. Our darling and this woman married? HM? Yeah, why? A bunch of other women are married to him too, you know, and I'm aiming to be part of that list. This must be the age in which a girl wishes to marry her father. I had heard such a thing was common among good households. At least it speaks well of master. But tell me, what did thou mean by other women? Centaur-tan, you don't really call Otatan master, do you? You know he hates it, right? Indeed, but it is the servant's duty to show preference towards their master. 'Tis truly folly to believe the master's name should ever fall from a servant's lips unless it is an emergency. Kureha simply sighed, shaking her head a bit. These girls were starting to sound like some kind of headache, except for the Harpy. Per Otatan. Anyway. Yeah, Daddy has a bunch of wives, and while some would say it's because he's a bigger pervert than Eroaji, everyone in the family knows it's because he's got such a big heart. Sure, his natural lust helped gathering the women in the family. Daddy isn't the type to go around letting just anyone into his heart. If he likes you, you'll know, and if he doesn't like you, well, Yasuraka and I Namuru. So, say, darling T touches you a certain way. Would that mean anything? HM? Depends, do you mean a sexy kinda touch or something else? TH the first thing. Daddy doesn't really do that with just anyone nowadays. Mama gets real mad when he does, but usually she lets him off the hook after meeting them. Now I'm quoting this, but Naruto's one-hitter-quitter days are over. Who the hell said it like that? Auntie Anko. Stupid snake dick. Ignoring her dad's grumbling about snake ladies and doing what should have been done years ago to their behinds, Kureha turned her attention back to the 3 girls sitting with her at the table as Naruto worked his magic hands in the kitchen. Does darling N not like snakes or something? Oh no, he loves them actually. Mama Sonia is a lamia, you know. Oh, don't go telling her anything unnecessary. I haven't done anything serious with her yet. Oh hush Otatan, you know it's gonna happen sooner or later. Heedless of the father, and they were starting to believe it at this point, daughter duo, Maya gave a smug smirk over at Centauria, sticking her tongue out at the Centaur girl, whose face flushed at the implications. I don't know why you're acting so smug, the BMMPH. Before the girl could say anything else, Naruto had seemed to appear behind her and cover her mouth, a tiny, minuscule, unnoticeable unless you were looking for it blush across his cheeks. He seriously didn't need his daughter outing that he'd taken Poppy first in front of Centauria or Maya. They would either attack him or Poppy, or demand that he take them too. He was working on it. Centauria would be waiting a bit longer due to her insistence on calling him the M-word, and Maya. Oh, she would get hers soon, he had plans for that. Ahem, dinner is ready and I'm pretty sure Ms. Smith is at the door. Kureha, could you go let her in? Kureha giggled and hopped up, doing as she was told as Naruto began putting the food on the table, ignoring the stares that seemed intent on drilling into his skull, compliments of the Centaur and Lania. Poppy was just happy to see the food he'd made. So, who's hungry? Oh. Otu-tan, you're leaving already? Kureha-chan, I've got work. Why don't you get more acquainted with my guests? Syria, Maya, Poppy, go with Kureha-chan to the resort, okay? She can help you with your training even. I'll be back soon, okay? But darling, I wanted to spend some more time with you. Never let it be said that Maya wasn't subtle when she wanted to be. That was clearly a hint that she wanted more than to spend time with him. Shaking his head, Naruto pointed further into the house. Resort. Now. I'll be back soon, and if you have any questions, might regret this, ask Kureha-chan. She can answer any question you may have. Dread began to bubble in his gut, and he knew that after tonight, he'd have to step up his game with these girls. The glint in Kureha's eyes didn't help soothe the dread at all. Sigh. Okay, Miss Smith, let's go. What's the mission about anyway? Oh, it's a doo-wop. You and Minato will be going to a little gathering of sorts. We've reason to suspect this gathering will be interrupted by a group of extra species. Minako's skill as a sniper and your skill in hand-to-hand are needed to help stop the interruption. What kind of interruption is it? What kind of gathering is it? And why just the two of us? I mean, I know I'm awesome, Kureha-chan knows I'm awesome, but y'all don't know how awesome I am just yet. We know enough for now. The gathering is a meeting between the Yakuza and the police. Unlike normal, these Yakuza are on good terms with the police. They're legit, and actually act almost nothing like you'd expect them to. Well, that wasn't too much of a stretch. Naruto had met a guy back home who had been a kind of good Yakuza boss, and his gang didn't seem too bad. Then there was the Wasabi family from Cha no Kuni. They were Yakuza too if he was remembering right. Meh. And the extra species you suspect are going to interrupt the meeting? This is also something that isn't too bad, but will still require you and Minato. Since the interspecies exchange program started up, we've been getting all sorts here in Japan. Among them is of course the Centaurs. A group of them is planning to interrupt the meeting between this Yakuza group and the police, because they are under the impression that the Yakuza are going to be either threatening or paying off the police for something big. They do seem to be all up in anything justice-related. That they are. With the cultural influence of England's knights, these centaurs are technically trying to do good. The problem is that they plan to attack humans to do it. And we can't exactly reach them to talk them down. Most of the members are males, brutes who like fighting above most other things. Their hearts are in the right place, but their brains aren't able to give enough input to temper their hearts? Right. That. Originally this mission called for more than just 1 or 2 people, but I've managed to convince the higher-ups that you and Minato would do just fine. For some reason they seem to be familiar with you, darling-kun, something about prior missions. Well, I do take odd jobs in my free time. I had to make a living when I first got here after all, and I hadn't gotten around like I have now back then, so I started putting myself out there. I see. Well, anyway, I'll give you a small briefing on the way to the meeting location. You'll be with Minato while the two groups share a meal, and when they get ready to begin their talks, we'll introduce you as extra security. Naruto gave a small salute, stepping into the car Ms. Smith had left outside his house when she came over for dinner. Surprisingly enough for the woman, Naruto got into the driver's seat. You can drive, darling-kun? Yup. Just thought I'd take the wheel for once. I don't have a car yet, haven't found one I want, but it's always good to sharpen my skills. Of course, it turned out that wasn't the only reason he had offered to drive. When Miss Smith got out of the car, she had to pray that it was dark enough that her black suit hid the bulge in her belly. Naruto had seen fit to offer her a snack on the drive to the location, only getting a short briefing on the two factions of the meeting, and the location before offering. Naruto quickly joined her in front of the building, tail swishing behind him and a grin on his face as a bald man in a dark blue kimono greeted them at the door, letting them in after confirming who Miss Smith and her blonde guest were. Apparently Manako was already in the building. Go find Manako, you'll be introduced to the Masayoshi family later. Saluting the woman, Naruto disappeared in a blur of movement the moment the woman blinked. Moving through the building, which seemed to be some sort of old-style building resembling the Hyuga clan complex, if with multiple floors, Naruto found Manako on the veranda on the top floor of the main building, apparently not where the meeting was to take place. So I came through the back door, looks like. When did you get here? And Naruto-san? When did you get here? Oh, I asked first. Pouting, the blonde grinned as the act got a little giggle from the Manai girl. Her face flushed, she looked up at the blonde, meeting his gaze shyly before looking away. I got here about an hour ago. I've been looking for a good spot to set up once the meeting starts. It's going to be in that building. But so far I haven't found a place that will give me a good sight of it, and all the places a person could enter. Humming softly, Naruto nodded slowly and looked at the building Manako had pointed to, indicating the meeting place. Inspecting the building himself, he figured it was another kind of room being repurposed for the meeting, but the problem of not having enough sights on it was probably a defensive plan put in during the building of this surprisingly lavish place. When you had money, then why not use it how you liked? Well, I could probably help with that, but you'd be pretty visible, a trade-off for more visibility. I'd be seen? Nah, I guess if you don't move you could probably stay hidden, but once you start shooting it'll get pretty obvious where you are anyway. Both of them stayed silent for a moment, though Manako seemed to blush darker the longer she stood next to Naruto, a fact he seemed to be grinning devilishly about. Slowly, she started to squirm, and Naruto soon chuckled as he turned his head towards her, glasses low on his nose as he looked over them, eyes glowing. Manako-chan! The girl squeaked after looking up at him, and with good reason, seeing as the moment her gaze met his, her entire body seemingly flooded with heat. It didn't help that he stepped closer to her as they stared at each other, making her back up to compensate for the space. At least till her back met the wall, resulting in a gasp, which was all Naruto needed. Lemon skipped. Naruto huffed as he redressed, not caring at all that Manako's scent was all over him. He could clean up after the mission. Once he was sure Manako wouldn't fall off the roof before Zambina retrieved her, he leapt from it himself. With a whoosh, he took flight, the moon lighting his way as he spotted the charging group of Centaur. There were 7 of them, all of them in armor and carrying hopefully fake, due to the law weapons. 3 had long swords, 2 had lances, and 2 had bows. The bow users were male, 2 of the sword users were male, and both the lancers and the 3rd sword user were female from the smells of them. Humph! Going somewhere? Making himself known, Naruto glared down at the group, small as it was, as they stopped in their charge towards him. Who are you? The name is Naruto, but you can just call me the information broker, because I have something to explain to you. Fool! We are here to give justice, not take speeches from stupid bird brains. You know what? I was going to be nice about it, but just for that. You, my friend, no longer have a choice. Uzumaki gen no Jinjutsu Ugi, Shinsetsuru. Unfortunately, the slight high of the situation, and certain previous activities, prevented Naruto from keeping the effects of his technique to only the group of centaurs. When he asked Red, subtly demanded if they could kindly drop their weapons, everyone his voice reached found themselves doing so, even if they didn't have any. He would later find out that his technique inadvertently saved the lives of a couple a few blocks away. At the moment, however, he was just sweat-dropping as he saw the people who had been trying to stop the centaurs throwing down their weapons just like said extra species. Sighing, he floated down to the group, using a bit of Jiten to bring all the weapons on the floor towards himself, separating those belonging to the centaurs and those belonging to the Yakuza or police, Naruto released his genjutsu and stood strong before the centaurs as they shook their head. Are you ready to listen to reason? Maybe learn a bit about the situation before deciding to mete out justice? I challenge you! Raising an eyebrow, Naruto's eyes swept over the centaurs. They seemed to defer to the one speaking, so Naruto guessed it would be okay if he were to best the guy. Maybe they'd listen to him once their apparent leader was taken down. Alright. But you should know, I'm pretty strong. Humph. Your strength is nothing before a mighty centaur. Have at thee. Charging straight ahead, Naruto grappled with the armored horseman as he crashed into him. A quick application of chakra to his feet prevented him from being sent back, and he was more than strong enough to send the centaur man back several feet after a moment. Grr! Give me my weapon, boy, 'tis hardly a duel at all if we do not use them. Take up a blade, let us settle this. And I have your word you'll back down should I defeat you? Gay, we're brutes, not savages, boy. By my name and my father's name, as unlikely as it is, we'll listen to you if you beat me. Great! First order of business, when I beat you, don't call me boy. With a flick of his wrist, Naruto's Jitan sent one of the 3 long swords flying hilt first towards the man, who grabbed it out of the air as one of the other centaur handed him a shield. Naruto simply took up one of the long swords for himself. He didn't need a shield, of all things. The two clashed swiftly, and though Naruto was less than a novice in the use of a dual-edged blade, he used his admittedly poor sword skills rather well. He was stronger than the centaur, faster, more dexterous, more flexible. He had many ups over the centaur he was fighting. Each blow the centaur blocked sent the man's shield arm jolting back, and they were coming quite quickly. Naruto was honestly surprised the man was able to get it back into place in order to block as many blows as he had so far. And what blows that weren't blocked were parried, not that it did any good. Even limiting himself to the sword in his hands and the natural parts of his body, Naruto was more than a match for the centaur man fighting him. Each blow of the man's sword was deflected by one of Naruto's wings, chakra shunted to them to keep them from being sliced. Thou art a fine hand at battle, yet thy skills with that blade make me laugh. Fall before Sir Gavan, knave! With a mighty yell, the centaur brought his blade down for an overhead slash. Clang! Swish! The appointed Sir Gavan was wide-eyed in shock as his blow was not only blocked, but his blade was thrown from his grasp. Naruto now held the tip of his borrowed blade to the centaur's throat, past the gap between his chest plate and his helmet. I believe this is my win. Grr. Fine. I'll concede defeat this time, but I wish for a rematch in the future. Perhaps you aren't a simple knave. Surprisingly level-headed of you. Humph. Don't let this foreign place fool you. Not every male are simple brutes. Brutes we may be, but uncultured we are not. Nodding, Naruto used his Jitan once more to magnetize the centaur group's weapons back to them, the same with the weapons belonging to the group of Yakuza and police now standing behind him. He knew they were there, amateurs. So, why don't you lot come inside, and have a chat with these nice groups of people, huh? If you'd bother to scout them out a bit, you might know that these particular Yakuza are on good terms with the police. Good terms, you say? Fine. We'll meet with these gangsters and your police. 'Tis the least we can do to check their validity. In honor of this battle, we will put up our arms till we have been given proof of either foul play as we suspected, or if this strange mix-up of justice is truly just that. And I thank you for it. Hopefully this little stunt of yours won't hurt the interspecies exchange bill. A lot of people would be rather angry at you if you got them all sent home because you didn't check your information. Omeg starts. You ready to lose, Doppel? Oh no, after you. Humph. Ha. Go. All at once, Naruto and Doppel began to transform, the former in a puff of smoke and the latter in a swirl of her hair. They were currently locked in a competition of sorts, to see who could transform into the best thing. A magical girl? Really? A girl version of yourself? Hello Pot, I'm Kettle. Humph. Another transformation ensued, Naruto taking on the form of Hoshigaki Kisame, while Doppel took the form of a bipedal dog. Both stared at each other for a few moments, before Naruto busted up laughing and Dapple changed back to normal with a blush and a scowl. You got lucky this round, punk! Who you callin' a punk, you? Naked lowly! You wanna take this outside? We are outside, naked lowly! Ugh! Go! Puff of smoke and swirl of hair later, Naruto had the form of a chibi version of Dapple and said girl had turned into an ugly, let's put it nicely and say ugly version of Naruto. Oh, look at me! I don't like wearing clothes, and no one can look at me for fear of being turned into the police. Ugh, my face, Kami, does it look any better than last month? Dapple-sama, do you like my face? Oh, so you wanna go there, huh? Okay, two can play at this game. In a puff of smoke, Naruto transformed once more. He had the chakra to waste on this little game. He couldn't say the same for Dapple's stamina though. He was confident she'd run out of steam sooner or later. What? Hiwa clothing, no, my one weakness. Naruto had turned into a blushing, squirming, fully clothed Dapple, making the girl herself turn back to normal, blushing like the vision Naruto had made of her, though she was also glaring at him. Her? You really wanna go, don't you, bastard? Naked lowly squirt. Piss top. Chocolate bar. Go! This time the transformations were radical. Dapple's form changed dramatically, and Naruto was engulfed in a massive puff of smoke, a shadow falling over Dapple that made her freeze before looking up. And up. And up. Gulp. Ihihei. Got something to say. Dapple, who had taken the form of a hideous tentacle beast with multiple mouths of jagged teeth and spiked tentacles ending in larger spikes, began to sweat as she looked up at the titanic form of a red fox with rabbit-like ears, teeth larger than her, and 9 epic tails that were swishing around behind him, creating a breeze just by swishing. And my transformations are real? Ha, and you thought mine weren't? Mercy? HSSSS, sorry, hate to say it, really I do. All out of mercy. Meep. Dapple learned a valuable lesson that day. Being turned into a hideous fang tentacle beast thing wouldn't save her if Naruto just so happened to decide to turn into a giant 9-tailed fox and gobble her up, swish her around a bit, before spitting her back out. Even a few days later, the blonde still gave a horrible evil laugh whenever he saw her, and she still couldn't tell if she'd gotten all that saliva off her or not. She still felt all tingly, damn it. The end.
Now watch daily exclusive and censored lemon stories and mature content, along with NSFW images, featuring harem girls characters from the fics. Access all this and more on my Patreon. Click the link in the description to explore.